What's up guys, welcome back. Recently I have received several wireless Pro controllers for the Nintendo Switch. And today we're going to take a look at the wireless Mini Controller sent to me by JYS. And I have to say, without spilling the beans, I'm pretty impressed by this product. They have released a different wireless Pro controller for the Nintendo Switch some time back, but with this iteration they have completely changed the design of this controller and included an NFC reader as well, something you don't see all that often with third-party controllers. In fact, JYS claims this to be the first third-party controller on the market that has an NFC reader. So in this review we're going to take a look at that feature, the overall design and workings of the controller, and see if it is worth a pickup. So without further ado, let's have a look at the wireless Mini Controller by JYS. As always, let's start with a little unboxing. On the surface, it looks pretty neat. It's decent packaging. It has the reference to the NFC chip reader. And inside the box, we find the controller. That's a nice looking controller. Right there. We have the USB 2 to USB Type-C cable, which is really good. And we have a little manual. Between the three wireless Pro controllers I am currently reviewing, this one is an absolute beauty. The overall design reminds me a lot of the original Nintendo Wii Classic controller, which was my favorite controller for quite a while, especially in the Super Smash Bros. Heydays. The big difference between these two, of course, being the transparent top of the outer shell, similar to the official Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and the two handles, which are nicely textured, although the angle could have been slightly improved for some better comfort. The way it is shaped right now looks really neat, but while holding it there is much left to be desired, as the handles are just a tad too short, making it so that your pinkies are floating, not being able to hold onto the controller, and I don't even have the largest of hands. So either you're playing it in that way, or you move up your hands entirely, which make me feel as if I'm attacking the controller by over gripping it. Whatever way you choose to hold it, this makes for a, well, awkward experience. Let's leave it at that. As can be expected, the controller features gyroscopic and motion controls, which come in handy in such games as Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. Inside of the handles, they have placed the motors for some good haptic feedback, and I have to say, for a third-party controller, this rumble feature is done really well. In more cases than not, the strength of the rumble feature is a little over the top, but this one gets it just right. Nice job! Another thing that's awkward is the size of some of these components. As it is a mini controller, understandably various parts should resemble that design philosophy. And that is exactly the case for these joysticks, for example, which are interesting in themselves in that the tops are extremely concave, letting your thumbs really sink in, something I personally don't like all that much. The sides, however, are quite comfortable, having textured rims which prevent your thumbs from slipping off of these joysticks. The A, B, X and Y buttons are rather large for a controller of this size, but of very good quality with little travel time, comfortable spacing and neat 3D effects inside the transparent buttons. I'm glad to see they have put on an actual D-pad, which is done rather well. It is definitely one of the best D-pads I have used in some time. It's of a good size and once again nicely textured. But for some reason they really doubled down on that clickiness in this case. Pressing any of the directions takes some effort and it is accompanied by some serious sound effects. Although it works well in and of itself, I could have done with a little less of those clicks, you guys. But playing through your NES classics with this D-pad feels great. The center of the controller houses the plus and minus buttons appropriately placed at the top, a large button for the home function at the center, capture button on the left, and on the right side we have a button for the turbo function. All of these are rather good quality and very easy to press. There's very less travel time, but just enough to have that feedback of actually pressing a button. Inside the manual can be found several ways of working with the turbo function, but in essence holding down the turbo button and the button you would like to assign the function to and releasing them both will have you enable the auto fire. Hold both of them down again to disable the auto function so you can assign it to a new button. The shoulder buttons are somewhat oversized in my opinion, especially for a controller of this size. But they are nicely positioned and they come with little travel time and button presses feel quite well. There is this thing of the button engraving though, being named L1 and L2 and R1 and R2, which of course should have been named LR, ZL and ZR. And guys, what's up with that font size? And lastly, at the bottom side we find some technical information and a very small reset button in case your controller goes haywire. Syncing up your new controller to the Nintendo Switch is pretty straightforward. Hold down the home and Y buttons to make the initial connection. Really, the only downside of this controller is that it can't wake up the Switch from sleep mode. One of the most advertised features of this mini controller is the NFC reader, which is included at the heart of the controller. And it works rather well. Just hold your Amiibo over right there just for a second or two and it works its magic. So with this controller there is no need of having a Joy-Con laying around for some Amiibo support. The battery inside of this controller gives you just about 20 hours of gameplay, which is absolutely fantastic, especially coupled with the automatic power off while not in use. At the backside of the controller, right between the shoulder buttons, you will find the USB-C port for easy charging with the provided cable. And I'm extremely pleased that more and more of these manufacturers are moving over to this USB Type-C port. The JYS Mini Controller is a nice addition to the pool of Nintendo Switch accessories and one I definitely recommend picking up. As far as looks go, it is a sheer beauty, with its transparent black casing and attention to details in the buttons and the texturized joysticks and handles. It's being sold over on Amazon through various retailers such as J&TOP and Leandro for $30 US, which means you can buy at least two of these for the same price as an official Nintendo Switch Pro controller and have some spare change left. And that whilst boasting just about all of the same features, including the gyroscope, motion control and yes, an NFC reader. But of course you're missing out on that high definition rumble. A note of caution however, if you have rather large hands, this might not be the most comfortable controller for you and you might want to wait for my other videos in which I'm reviewing other controllers by different companies. And with that guys, I'm signing off. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button if you have enjoyed this review. But more so, leave a comment in the section down below. Are you planning on picking this one up or are you saving up for some other accessory down the line? Let's get some discussion going and I will see you next time.